Hello, welcome to another tutorial. This time we're going to look at making a version of the classic game Frogger. If you don't know Frogger, you can go online and find it. Let's have a look. So, I'm controlling the frog at the bottom of the screen. First part, I have to cross the road without getting run over. And the next part, you have to cross this river by hopping on the logs and the turtles. Oops, I've fallen in. Let's have another go. And oh, don't get run over. And onto the log, onto there. The turtle onto here, and now I've made it safely home. So that's Frogger. Now let's have a look at how we're going to make that. So hopefully you've downloaded the project. This one I'm calling Mouser, so I'm using a mouse. And I've already set up these basic up, down, left, right controls, which you should know fairly well by now. So I've already put those there for you. If you don't know those, then you should go back and try an earlier tutorial. So first thing I want to do is have the car moving across the screen. So the first step, as usual, under events and the green flag and a forever. Now I want the car to move across the screen, reach this side, and go back. So to do that, under motion, I'm going to just have move 10 steps. Now if we run that, it just reaches there, goes off the screen. Now Scratch has a nice built-in block down here. If on edge, bounce. So that will mean it reaches the edge and it will bounce and go back in the opposite direction. Let's have a look at what's happening there. Okay. Now, one important thing to notice here, under the car sprite, if I press I, there's these different rotation styles. So if I have this one on, you see it kind of goes upside down. So that doesn't look right here. This is the one I am using. So it goes left to right. And the final one, if I use that, it kind of reverses back across the screen. So these can be useful in different circumstances depending on the game. But for this game, I want this one. So it reverses left to right. So I've already got my car moving backwards and forwards. I've got my mouse. But the car hits the mouse, nothing is happening. So we need some sprite collision. So I'll just stop that. So we're going to have another green flag and control forever if and touching. So if the car is touching the mouse, what do I want to happen? Well, if the car touches the mouse, I want the mouse to go back to the beginning. So to get the mouse to move, I'm going to have to broadcast. So I'm going to broadcast new message that I'm going to call restart. So if the car touches the mouse, I'm broadcasting restart. Now on the mouse, when the mouse receives restart, then I'm going to go back to this position here. So under motion, so this position looks about right there. So my go to X and Y, the numbers will be already in the right place. Let's run, let's see if that's working, and yes, my mouse is being sent back to the beginning there. Okay, so we've got that working. Now the aim of this game is to reach the apples. I'm going to have 5 apples across the top, and we're going to have to eat the apples. So on the apple, I need to start off with the green flag, of course. And first thing I want to do is to show the apple. If the apple is eaten, it's going to hide. So when we start the game, I want to show it again. Then, of course, forever and if. And we want to know if we're touching the mouse. So if the mouse has reached the apple and if it's touching, what's going to happen? Let's go back to the apple. Well, the apple is going to hide because we've eaten it. And then I need a way to count how many apples I've eaten. So I'm going to have a variable, and I'm going to call it apples. So I've already set it up here for you, apples. And I'm going to change apples by 1. Now I'm going to have 5 apples. So every time an apple is eaten, apples will increase by 1. And I'm not actually showing it on the screen. It doesn't need to be on the screen because once all the apples are eaten, then we know the game is over. So I'm unticking just to hide that. So we're going to change apples by 1. Now if the number of apples I've eaten is 5, then you have won the game. So we want to go to here and equals. So if my apples equals 5, then, well, I'm going to broadcast again. So let's go and broadcast a message. And this message says, oops, new message. This is going to say, game over. You've won the game. So if apples is 5, that means I've eaten 5 apples. We're going to broadcast game over. Now we're going to go back to the mouse, and when the mouse receives game over, then we're going to get the mouse to say a little message like, you win, for 2 seconds, and because it's game over, then we're going to stop all. Okay, so we're not quite there yet. If I press the green flag now, so one problem is, if I press the green flag, the mouse is not back at the beginning. So let's go and fix that. Let's go to the mouse. So I've got, on restart, the mouse will go back to this position, but I also want when green flag clicked. And I'm just going to right mouse button on there, duplicate. So when the green flag is clicked, the mouse also goes back to there. If the mouse touches the car, it goes back to there. And if we go and eat an apple, can I get past? Oh. Let's see. Just made it. So I'm going to go and eat this apple. So the apple is hiding. If I go to data and we show apples, well, it says 1. But I can't win the game because there's only one apple there. So I'm going to have to duplicate those apples. So I'm going to go here and we're going to duplicate. Make another one. Duplicate. Make another one. So that's 3, 4, and so we've got 5 apples up there. So let's green flag. Well, I've only got 1 car to get past at the moment, and let's go and eat an apple, shall we? So I've eaten 1, and well, now I've eaten 2, 3, 4, 5. You win. But that seemed a little bit too easy. Once I was up here, I was able to just go along and eat all the apples. So I don't think I want it like that. I think when I've eaten an apple, then I think I want it to go back to the beginning again. So I'm going to have to change my apple code here. So at the moment, I've got if apples equals 5, then broadcast game over. But if apples is not 5, then I want the mouse to go back to the beginning. So I'm actually going to have to change this block. I'm going to use this one, and if, then, else. So this is basically saying, if apples equals 5, then game over, else, or otherwise, something else is going to happen. So if apples is not 5, then I'm also going to broadcast restart, which will send the mouse back to here. So there are 2 choices. So I'm going to put that there. I've eaten an apple, I've got 1. If I've had 5, game is over. Else, otherwise, restart, which sends the mouse back to the beginning. Now I'm going to have to do that on all of my apples there. So take that out, I'm going to duplicate and put it onto there, put it onto there, put it onto there, put it onto there. So I've got an extra one here I don't need. Put that in there. Let's go into the apples and fix these. So that's done. And that one's done. And one more. So this is why it's a good idea to test your game and to know exactly what you want before you start making lots of copies of things. Let me just click on all the apples. Each one has that if-else block. Okay, so let's green flag, start again. It's a bit tricky to get past this car actually. Okay, I've made it. So I'm heading for an apple, and this time I've been sent back to the beginning. So I can't simply run across and eat all the apples in one go. Okay, but the game is still a bit too easy because I only have one car here. So the car is ready to go. I'm just going to right button and duplicate. And let's have another one. Now it's just a case of positioning the cars where I want them. Different places. Something like that. And if I run, we can see they're driving now. This is possibly going to be... Oh, no, I made it. Got one apple. It's a bit of a challenge. Oh, go, go, go. Yes, 2 apples. Okay. Another thing you can do on the cars if you want, we can change the speed. So I can have this first car, perhaps moving at 6, a little bit more slowly. This car, we'll keep it at 10. And this one is at the top. Let's put it up to 12. So now they're moving at different speeds. So possibly making it actually harder. Let me come across over here. One little tip for this game is sometimes running quickly up the side can be an easier way. Yes, I made it. Okay. So I'll leave it there. It's up to you to, you can add more cars or change the car sprite, change the speed. I'll leave that up to you. If you wanted, you could even change the mouse control to the controls we had in the Beetle game, where it can rotate left or right. That would be different to the original game. Could make it actually easier to play, could be harder. I'll leave that decision up to you. Play around, change the code. That's the best way to learn. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.